This is the Mosen Mortgage Program with Sarah Mosen. Mosen Mortgage is licensed in several states for residential and commercial purchases and refinancing. Call 800-662-9550. And now, here's your host, Sarah Mosen.
Great to be back here again, folks. It is Thursday, and we're heading towards the weekend. Remember, ask the question. I'm here for you day or night on the weekends. It's just simple. We will find ways to save you as much money as possible. And remember, interest rates are at 50-year lows. Great having you here with me, Pat. How are you?
Very well. Good morning to all of our Bostonians and guests.
Right. It's it's fascinating. I was chatting with you a little bit about the different states that we do lending and the different types of things folks are looking for. And the bottom line is that we so love having our listeners call us, and we're actually also airing in San Diego from Florida in the morning, early mornings, Pat, around 5-ish in the a.m. So it's a great thing because our listeners are able to reach out to us throughout the day and also know that there's a lot of shifts that are going on in the market in their favor because rates are at 50-year lows. We work for you, and we have 50 wholesale lenders, so we can pull your credit once, protect you from getting spammed and having your information data mined. We'll get you the lowest rate in the industry. So that's a big move, and it's definitely going to help a lot of our listeners here.
Oh, for sure. And I know some of those fancy words like data mining, and that simply means, that you open the door sometimes for folks to go in and mine your data, if you will, and take that and then start pulling on your credit and all of that, which can hurt your credit. And Sarah, you shared that with us earlier this week. Your credit can drop as much as 30 points just from somebody looking and pulling your credit. So with Mosen Mortgage, you are totally protected. They pull it once and not again, and they never share any of the information. It's all confidential, and no matter where you are in your financial world and you want to get yourself into financial fitness, it can happen. It's just like the first day you walk into the gym and you might need to do a few things to get yourself where you need to get. Well, Sarah can be your personal trainer in the fitness world with your finances. So give them a call at 1-800-662-9550. There is a live person answering that line 24/7, so it doesn't matter if you're on Pacific Coast time or Eastern Coast time. There is somebody there listening and waiting for you to give them a call. And in the meantime, anytime, check them out, Mosen Mortgage Facebook.
Right, and I mean, the bottom line is that there's a lot of different things that happen in the loan process, Pat, so it's important to know the dynamics and understand that once you have given us the documentation, we will get everything taken care of for you, and then it's a 30-day process, and in a lot of cases, an appraisal is not required, so you don't have to worry about that amount for the inspection of the property. And then the big part of the process, I think a lot of folks don't want to be putting out even more money while they're refinancing their loan. So savings. The savings is not only is your rate going to be the lowest in the market, but also when we do the work for you, the lender pays us. So you're not in a position to worry about additional costs because people always talk about what are the costs. Well, there are no costs with the work that we do for you because the lender pays us. So it is definitely an advantage. But moving on to the next topic, Pat, because you and I were chatting.
Yes, I got one of these, a millennial, and the rising cost for parents. Yes, and this is a great subject. It's near and dear to me. My millennial, she got married. That's my youngest, last November. So we're like up on the 10-month mark here for her, but she's a millennial through and through, Sarah, so I love discussing this subject. So, and the rising cost for parents. Please share with our listeners.
Well, for the age bracket for millennials, really, 1/3 of millennials aged 18 to 31 still live with their parents. So that's just, which is the highest percentage in at least 4 decades. So this is because of, obviously, the rising of college enrollment, also the fact that we went through a very high unemployment situation, and definitely the fact that expenses are going to go up in the household. So when you're working with, and we're in that situation, Pat, I haven't chatted about this for a while, but a lot of baby boomers are kind of in a situation where they have their kids moving in, and then they also have their elderly parents moving in with them. So now it's kind of like that sandwich generation. You're in the middle.
Yes.
And that can be stressful, and definitely financially does create some anxiety. And I've always said we've worked with folks from all walks of life, and there are situations in life that we will all face, and we have to work through it and get the best possible advice and make sure that we're ready for it financially, because finances in itself will add stress. And then having on both sides, you're having your elderly parents moving in, your children moving in, that definitely changes everything in your life. So definitely a good time to ask the question about how you can reduce some of those costs. And how you can build bridges to make sure that you can all live in harmony, Pat.
Yes, and may not be perfection, but harmony. You put down those rules. And I was talking to somebody on staff here at Salem, Boston, who recently bought a new home, and he has his adult children living with him, and it's a wonderful arrangement. They love it. The house is big enough, but still, sometimes it's not big enough no matter what, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
And he was really a lot of wisdom he applied with prayer and rules and regulations, and it's all very harmonious, but it is also very expensive. So you do need to figure out the best you can do with your finances to make it all happen.
Right, and the big part of it is financially it can be very stressful. So I've had a lot of conversations on finding solutions that will make it financially less stressful, and people have basically said, well, maybe I should renovate my home instead of moving and have an addition made to it so that my elderly parents can move in. And that's not surprising. And in this type of scenario here where borrowing money is so very cheap, when you're reducing that rate on that mortgage with us, we can also facilitate cash out so you can take equity out. And one of our wonderful ladies who was tuning in had said, listen, my house is free and clear, but the rates are so very good, and I have such high interest rate credit cards and co-signed student loans, and I want to have some cash. So we were able to accommodate that. And it's always good to have cash in hand, because you just never know what the future holds. And in a fixed rate, when you're refinancing, the nicest thing is you can put that money back into your mortgage and pay off that loan whenever you want. There's no penalty.
And actually, Sarah, I know somebody that financed their daughter's wedding by doing exactly that.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, we had one of our listeners, a very good friend of mine, who was chatting about options and had made decisions to not only eliminate the auto loan that he had co-signed on with one of his children, but also a wedding for one of his kids. And at the end of the day, the savings were enormous, because he also refinanced his mortgage. And what would have typically happened is he would have charged that on his credit card. And that just simply doesn't make sense.
Not at all. And so, again, it comes back to the importance of good credit, doesn't it, Sarah? For this to all flow and work for you to the best of your abilities and advantages.
Right. And I mean, if your mortgage is current for 12 months and your scores are in the 600s, even at 620, we can help you. In fact, we've had folks who may have been at a 580 score, and we were able to see what it would take to improve their score so that they could get refinanced maybe in the next 40 days. So nothing is permanent, Pat. I always say to folks, you have good days and you have bad days, and some of them are just simply challenging, and you just have to work through it and understand that you're not alone. Have faith. Know that God is always by your side. And believe me, if you have questions on anything related to your finances or in general, I'm here for you as well. So it's important to ask the question. It really is.
One of my favorite passages from the Bible that I use a lot is, this too shall pass. And
yes.
and actually it looks like this day has passed, doesn't it, Marita? Because she's given me the high sign there. But I just want to remind everybody that you can check out Mosen Mortgage Facebook and get some great testimonies there, and 24/7 free phone call, 1-800-662-9550.
Stay well, folks.
This has been the Mosen Mortgage Program with Sarah Mosen. Mosen Mortgage is licensed in several states for residential and commercial purchases and refinancing. Call 800-662-9550.